everybody. So I started off with this leprechaun image from Paper Smooch's A Magical Spring stamp set and inked him up with Brilliant's graphite black ink and then stamped it onto a piece of white cardstock, and then I'm going to heat set the ink. People have asked me why I don't just use embossing powder for this step. I find regardless of whether or not you use embossing powder or heat set the ink, there's still a chance that it can smear. I find it actually will smear more than embossing powder because you think it's set because the embossing powder is melted, but there still is parts of the ink right around the edges and whatnot that are still exposed and aren't completely set and dry, so it just smears more. So I just find, and a lot of times I just don't like the look. I don't want the shiny raised look, so that's why I try and heat set it. But no matter what, I still try and avoid the lines of the image because, yeah, I like the look of Brilliance ink, especially with clear stamps, but sadly it smears. So it's kind of a stuck between a rock and a hard place with this stuff. At least when you're coloring with Copics anyway. But got the colors up, same as always when I started with the skin, and then for his hair I decided to do bright orange because he's a leprechaun, so I thought I'd make it fun. So I started off with the YR04, added the 07, and then went in with the 09. And then blended everything together, and I just used the 04 this time instead of the, the step of doing the 07 and everything else because they're so close together, it's easy to blend. And then for his little outfit, I went in with G14 and then added some G05 and then finally my G07. Once the 07 was in, I went back with the 05 to blend that a little bit more. So got that all blended and then went in with the G14 and blended it all together. So he's got a nice bright green little suit and hat. And then finally I took my YG23, and that one I did little small circular movements to really push any of the little bits that went out of the lines of the darker greens. I don't mind any of the exterior lines if it goes out because I'm going to cut this out anyway. So then I added the 25 and then went back and blended it all again together. So once I was done with that, I took my Y08 for the little buckle on his hat and on his shoes. So just like so, and then took my Y15, added that, and then blended it again with the 08. So once that was done, I went on to his shoes, and that's just my C5, C7, C10. Super simple, blended it all together. And then yeah, once I was done coloring him, I didn't film me actually cutting them out because I hold it quite close to my face. It just makes it easier when I'm cutting, and it's impossible to get the camera to focus on that. So cut them out with my detail scissors. And then I die cut some green cardstock with one of my Spellbinders Label 9 dies. And I'm using Doodlebug cardstock here. I don't have the color names handy. I never did have. I just have a stack of them in a container. I love Doodlebug cardstock. I haven't used it in a long time, and all of a sudden I pulled it out again the other day, so you guys might start seeing more and more cards using it. Anyway, I stamped the sentiment from the same stamp set onto a piece of white cardstock and I trimmed it down, and then I just used my scissors and freehand cut little tag or flag edges on each end. So I'm going for a really kind of simple card with a really simple layout. And then I took the little cauldron stamp, again from the same set, inked that one up with the Brilliance ink, and then stamped that twice onto some white cardstock. Just like so. Oh, and the sentiment, I purposely used the VersaFine. I've said that before because it doesn't smear. I like to use Brilliance when I'm embossing and Copic coloring. So anyway, I'm using Stampin' Up's Iridescent Ice embossing powder. It's just clear embossing powder with some iridescent glitter. And then heating that up with my heat tool to melt it so you get a really fun, sparkly image. So you can just see there how much sparkle it's got to it. I thought that'd be kind of fun. So did that, and then I cut those out with my detail scissors. And then I took the little coin image from the same set and stamped it several times onto a piece of yellow cardstock with the same Brilliance ink. And then same Iridescent Ice embossing powder, coated that completely. And then again, heat embossed it to melt the embossing powder. With a piece like this that's quite small, you have to be careful with your fingers so you don't burn them. You could use a piece of tweezers to hold the paper if you wanted. But I just made sure to keep my fingers out of the direction of the heat. And then yeah, just moved my fingers down so that I don't fry myself. But yeah, got it all melted. And then yeah, waited till it was dry, shook it a bit so that it was cooled off before I found one of my little circle punches fit perfectly for this. I wasn't going to do this step if I didn't have a punch for it because I just didn't want to hand cut out every single piece. And I'm pretty sure it's a 1/2 inch circle punch. I picked it up at Michael's, Walmart, somewhere. I've had it for years. It doesn't have the dimensions on it, just the circle, but it's an EK Success Punch, and yeah, totally perfect. So it took 2 seconds to punch out all those little coins. So then I adhered the die cut piece and the sentiment onto my little card front here. And then for the little leprechaun and everything else, I decided not to bother with dimensionals and popping everything up. Just decided to do a flat card for once. So I just used my Tombow Mono Multi liquid glue to glue down a little leprechaun, and then I glued down one of the cauldrons. Got that adhered. And then for the coins, I just choose a few of the random coins. And again, same thing, just Tombow Mono Multi. Kind of slip them under the edge of the cauldron so it looks like they're sitting in it. And then I just took one more random one, just put near the sentiment, and that actually finished off the card front. So got that the way I wanted it, flipped it over, and then I'm going to adhere that to my card base, which is just white cardstock. And once I've got that, I'm going to go on and work on the inside of the card, which I kept super simple. I decided to use the largest of the label 9 dies and a scrap of the darker green cardstock. So I just lined it up first on my craft sheet because I planned on using it on the bottom of the card. So I wanted the straight edge of the cardstock and then the die. So lined it up the way I wanted it, used a piece of tape to hold it so it doesn't shift when I run it through my Big Shot. So then die cut that, and it's got a perfect straight edge along the bottom. And then I was going to put that right on the bottom of the card, and then decided to add a little strip of that lighter green first. So then just adhered those. And then last but not least, after I got that done, I'm just going to adhere that second little cauldron and a few of the random coins, and that was it for the inside of the card. So super simple. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, there'll be a link below with to my blog post with links to all the supplies used, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!